Has your soul ever whispered that something isn't as it seems? Do you ever get the feeling that something's wrong, but couldn't quite explain what it was? Like your choices weren't completely yours, as if something unseen was nudging you along. Maybe you agreed to help when you didn't want to, or let someone win an argument even though you were right, or placed your trust in people who later betrayed it. If any of this feels familiar, and it likely does, then this video is meant for you. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. You are being influenced every single day by people around you, by the media, by leaders who understand how the human mind can be steered. And what's most dangerous is that you don't even notice it happening. You don't need hypnosis or some Hollywood-style brainwashing. The most powerful control is the kind that feels like freedom, where you believe it was your idea, your choice, your mistake. Most people live their whole lives this way, quietly steered like pieces in a game they didn't even know they were part of. And when they try to push back, they're hit with guilt, fear, self-doubt. They've been conditioned to stay quiet, to feel wrong for resisting. And if you're thinking, this doesn't apply to me, stop right there. Because that's exactly the mindset a skilled manipulator counts on. This video won't offer comfort. It will offer clarity, tools you can actually use. Because, as Machiavelli knew, those who master manipulation don't need to raise their voices. They simply observe, understand your habits, and make their move. They know what you crave, what you fear, what makes you tick. And if you don't understand those things about yourself, you'll be moved around by others who do. Here, you'll learn how manipulation works. Often without a single word, you'll learn to recognize the subtle patterns, the emotional hooks, the invisible strings. You'll discover your own blind spots and begin to build a mental shield. Because real freedom isn't just doing what you want, it's knowing why you want it. This video is a wake-up call for those who are tired of being played, for the ones who've been taken advantage of, blamed unfairly, shut down, or shaped by pressure they didn't see. You're about to learn how to go from being the puppet to becoming the one who sees the strings. But be warned, once you understand this, you won't be able to unsee it. So get ready, because what you're about to uncover might completely change the way you see others and yourself. Have you ever noticed how some people always seem to get their way? They don't raise their voice, they don't threaten or beg. They convince, they charm, they make you believe giving in was your choice. That's not just charisma, it's strategy. It's manipulation at its most precise. These people don't act on instinct. They pay attention to you. They read your reactions, sense your weak spots, spot your emotional cravings. They know when you want approval, when you fear rejection, when you feel bad for saying no, and they play on that. Manipulation doesn't start with words. It starts long before, in the way they read your posture, your tone, your hesitation. Some come wrapped in sweetness. They compliment you, smile warmly, act like no one else has ever seen you this clearly. They make you feel important, understood, special. But often behind that warmth, there's a plan. They're building a quiet sense of obligation in you, because when someone seems too kind, your instincts urge you to return the favor, and that's the moment you start giving in. Some take a different route. They use guilt. They paint themselves as overwhelmed, misunderstood, alone. They say no one gets them, except you. Slowly, they shift emotional weight onto your shoulders, and when you pull back or say no, they don't need to argue. A sigh, a sad glance, a quiet but sharp comment, that's all it takes. Skilled manipulators rarely ask directly. They make you volunteer. Others rely on fear. They imagine worst-case outcomes. If you do this, you'll be alone. If you walk away, you'll never find someone like me again. They don't trap you with force. They trap you with thoughts. They plant doubt in your mind, make you question your strength until you stay stuck by your own decision. These tactics aren't new. Centuries ago, Niccolo Machiavelli detailed them with chilling clarity. In The Prince, he explained how manipulation isn't just a trick, it is a calculated form of power. He understood long before psychology that humans are ruled by emotion and self-interest. And those who master this truth can reshape how others see and act. He once wrote, "People judge more by what they see than by what they feel, because all can see but few truly understand." That's manipulation. A performance designed to look like truth. The manipulator builds a stage, and you unknowingly become an actor. They assign you a part, they write the lines, and you deliver them, believing it's your story. What makes it so dangerous is that the show only works because something inside you allows it. A crack, a soft spot, a hidden longing you haven't yet faced. That's what makes you vulnerable, and that's what we need to uncover next. Because until you understand the part of yourself that opens the door to control, you'll keep calling manipulation by other names, like love, friendship, or loyalty. Let's pull back the curtain. If this message is resonating with you, consider subscribing and supporting the channel. Thank you. Now hear this. You're not manipulated because you're weak. You're manipulated because you're human. Every person has an emotional blind spot, a hidden ache, a need left unfulfilled, a quiet wound that creates an opening. And that's exactly where the manipulator steps in. They don't push, they pay attention. They notice what even you haven't noticed about yourself. Some of us carry an endless hunger for approval. We learned early that love must be earned, that being accepted means being agreeable. So we shape ourselves to be liked, to feel worthy, to feel seen. This longing becomes a doorway. Manipulators offer bits of praise, and we hand them our loyalty. They tell us what we want to hear, and we trade our independence for it. Others carry guilt like a shadow. They feel bad for putting themselves first. They hesitate to say no. They believe that caring for themselves is selfish. They were raised to see sacrifice as goodness and self-respect as coldness. So when something feels wrong, they stay quiet. Because speaking up feels like betrayal. Manipulators sense this guilt, and they lean into it. They present themselves as someone who only wants the best for you, but slowly they begin to steer your choices using twisted ideas of what's right. Then there are those who carry deep fears. Fear of being left behind, fear of being alone, fear of being forgotten. These fears push people to hold on to relationships, even toxic ones, just to avoid facing the emptiness. The manipulator senses this dread and offers comfort, but it's a trap. They give you the illusion of safety and then threaten to take it away. They convince you that without them you're nothing. And the scariest part, you already believed that long before they said it. All of these emotional vulnerabilities have roots. They don't come out of nowhere. They grow from painful experiences, silent traumas, and emotional patterns passed down through generations. And as long as you avoid facing these wounds, they stay open, easy targets for people who smile on the outside but scheme underneath. Machiavelli understood this well. He knew that true power doesn't come from brute force. It comes from knowing where people are fragile. He wrote, "People's nature is always changing. It's easy to convince them once, but hard to make them stay convinced. That's why the manipulator doesn't try to win arguments. They slip into the gaps where your awareness is missing. But there is a way to break this cycle. You don't have to keep reacting the same way. You can learn to spot the cracks in yourself and start sealing them. Only then will you stop being easy to control. Only then can you start to live with real clarity, and that's exactly what we'll explore next. How to build emotional armor. How to protect your mind and create real immunity from manipulation. Are you ready to stop being someone else's puppet? Because what comes next will take courage. Everyone wants freedom from manipulation, but few are willing to face the cost. Brutal self-awareness. Because yes, the truth can set you free, but before that it hurts, and the first lie you must let go of is the belief that being kind, empathetic, and understanding will keep you safe. It won't. In fact, when those qualities aren't paired with awareness, they make you an easier target. Learning to protect yourself emotionally doesn't mean becoming distant or cold. It means becoming conscious. It means no longer reacting on autopilot to the emotional traps manipulators set. And the first step to that is recognizing your own patterns. Pause and pay attention. What emotional buttons make you fold? Is it the fear of letting someone down? The anxiety of being pushed away? The need to keep things peaceful no matter the cost? Once you see what drives your reactions, you begin to shift the dynamic. The second step is to build what Machiavelli might call strategic detachment. This doesn't mean shutting off your heart. It means keeping your emotions from controlling your decisions. It means watching what's happening without immediately jumping in. It means hearing praise without instantly accepting it as truth. It means sensing when someone is pulling your emotional strings and taking a breath before responding. The manipulator depends on your emotional urgency. They don't want you to think, they want you to feel. So your power is in this. Think first. And the third step, become unpredictable. Manipulators depend on patterns. They watch how you react over and over. They know that if they cry, you'll try to comfort them. If they praise you, your defenses will drop. If they apply pressure, you'll eventually cave. Your power lies in breaking this cycle. Surprise them. Say no when they expect you to say yes. Walk away when they expect you to chase. Stay quiet when they're gearing up for a fight. This throws off their script. It forces their real intentions to surface. Another crucial step is building a strong sense of identity. The clearer you are about who you are, and the less you're trying, the less you'll feel the need to prove anything. To prove. The less power anyone has to shake you. Manipulators win by hijacking your self-image. They make you second-guess, constantly rethinking yourself according to their version of you. But when your inner sense of self is grounded, external influence starts to lose its grip. Don't be mistaken. This isn't instant. It's a form of training. Emotional immunity isn't built by watching a single video. It comes from daily work, watching your own behavior, resisting the urge to please, standing by your choices even when it's uncomfortable. It means remembering this simple truth. You don't owe anyone anything that costs your peace of mind. Protecting your sanity in a world full of emotional manipulation is already a form of rebellion. Machiavelli once said, "Men must be either indulged or destroyed. If you offend them slightly, they'll seek revenge." It's a brutal thought, but it points to a deeper truth. In the emotional arena, there's rarely a middle ground. You either learn to navigate emotional power, or you risk being swept up by it. But what if the manipulator isn't someone you can walk away from? What if they live with you, work with you, share your bed? What do you do when cutting ties isn't an option? In the next part, we'll step into more fragile territory. How to deal with manipulation in close relationships. How to free yourself emotionally, even when the manipulator is someone you care about. And this might be the ultimate test of strength. If this message resonates with you, you'll find real insight in my ebook Beyond the Shadow. It explores Jung's deepest ideas and offers tools to help you understand your inner world. Check the pinned comment for the link. It's easy to talk about manipulation when the person pulling the strings is a stranger. What's hard is admitting the truth. When the manipulator is someone you love. A parent, a partner, a friend from childhood, a boss who once gave you a shot. In these situations, manipulation is softer, but also more dangerous, because it wears the mask of care, of love, of loyalty. And out of fear of losing the bond, you stay trapped, drained, confused, unsure of who you are anymore. When someone close manipulates you, they rarely lie outright. They twist things. They don't yell. They hint. They don't stop you from making choices. They make you feel bad for making the wrong one. Slowly, you stop questioning. You walk on eggshells. You avoid any conflict. You start predicting their reactions just to keep things calm. And without noticing, you become a prisoner. not of force, but of emotion. In a relationship, manipulation can wear the mask of affection. I only do this because I love you. Without you, I'm nothing. But love that demands your submission isn't love. It's emotional blackmail. In families, it hides behind tradition. You can't do this to your mother. You owe us respect. But respect rooted in guilt isn't respect. It's control. At work, it comes disguised as loyalty. You should be grateful. Who else would give you this opportunity? But when gratitude becomes a debt, it stops being gratitude and becomes manipulation. Here's the truth. Closeness doesn't justify emotional violation. Love doesn't give anyone the right to shape you through guilt or fear. To break free, you must first face something hard to admit. Not every relationship with love is a healthy one. Not everyone who loves you knows how to love in a way that honors your freedom. And not every bond that holds you is actually protecting you. Some are just keeping you small. So how do you begin to break the cycle? Start with boundaries, clear, firm, and most importantly, boundaries that don't require explanation. A calm no, spoken without tension, is more powerful than hours of debate. Then comes truth-telling. Expose what you see, how it makes you feel, and what you will no longer tolerate. Not to change them, but to reclaim. And finally, stay grounded when the backlash comes, because it will come. Finally, stay grounded when the backlash comes, because it will come. There will be guilt trips, silence, outbursts, accusations. Manipulators feed on your uncertainty. They test your limits to see if you'll fold. And here's a truth most people can't bear to face. Sometimes loving someone means stepping away. It means leaving the dance of dysfunction, even if they fall without you there to catch them. Because the longer you try to rescue, justify, or explain, the longer they stay the same, and the more of you disappears. It's not easy, but it's necessary. Because only those who free themselves from toxic attachment can begin to see clearly, to look beyond words, beyond masks, beyond surface-level good intentions. And it's with this sharpened vision that we move into the next chapter. How to apply Machiavelli's strategic mindset to modern life, to shield your mind in a world where everything is designed to influence you. Now is the time to turn the tables. Machiavelli didn't write to be liked. He didn't care about being virtuous, ethical, or kind. He cared about truth, unfiltered, uncomfortable truth. The kind most people go out of their way to avoid. And if you want to survive psychologically in this world, you must learn to think as he did, with precision, clarity, and emotional distance. Because make no mistake, we live in an age of manipulation, social media, advertising, politics, religion, relationships. Everything is driven by influence, by image, by curated narrative. And those who don't understand this are consumed by it. Machiavelli understood people are driven not by logic, but by interests and emotions, and those who understand this hold power. He once said, "Men judge more by their eyes than by their hands." Everyone can see, but few can truly grasp. Machiavelli understood that perception is worth more than truth. In today's world, the game is no different. Whoever controls the narrative controls the decisions. Whoever controls the image controls the influence. And those who understand the psychological mechanisms behind human behavior can guide others without ever raising their voice. What does this mean in practice? It means you must stop living on emotional autopilot. Machiavelli didn't believe in universal morality. He believed in context. What works for one person may be a weakness for another. What seems noble in theory can be strategic suicide in reality. Kindness without discernment is foolishness. Honesty without timing is self-sabotage. Limitless altruism is servitude. If you want true freedom, you need to learn to play the game and play it well. This starts with observation. Learn to read people the way Machiavelli read the nobles, not by their words, but by their actions when no one is watching. Evaluate behaviors, not promises. Analyze patterns, not excuses. Trust less in words and more in the hidden interests behind them. Above all, don't react. Anticipate. The manipulator plays strategically, but your defense lies in staying one step ahead. Next, use silence as a weapon. One of the biggest mistakes people make is exposing too much emotionally. They talk too much, explain too much, reveal too much. The Machiavellian knows that silence confuses, commands respect, and disrupts the manipulator's rhythm. When you don't react as expected, the game loses its script. And it's in that void where you gain control. Another key strategy is mastering ambiguity. Machiavelli taught that to maintain power, one must know how to appear virtuous without necessarily being so. In the modern world, this means adapting your language, your posture, your presence to fit the environment, while staying true to your core. You don't need to reveal all of yourself. You only need to show enough to control perception. The rest you keep to yourself, because real power is in what isn't displayed. And perhaps the most important lesson, take responsibility for your own emotional state. Manipulators feed on instability. They need you to doubt, fear, and hesitate. When you know yourself, regulate your emotions, and remain steadfast under pressure, you become impenetrable. Machiavelli once wrote, "The prudent man should follow the paths beaten by the great, and imitate those who have been excellent, so that even if he does not reach their level, he may come close." In other words, use the wisdom of those who mastered the game to stop being a pawn in it. Now that you understand the workings of manipulation and how to protect yourself from it, one question remains. What do you do with all of this? How do you turn this knowledge into practical strength, into a new way of existing in the world, immune to external influence? This is exactly what we'll explore in the final section. Take control of your own mind so that no one ever controls it, for how to take control of your life and ensure manipulation no longer holds sway over you again. Are you ready to cut the last invisible string still holding you? Then keep going. We've arrived at the most important and perhaps most uncomfortable truth of this entire video. As long as you don't take full ownership of your mind, someone else will. And it won't always be a villain, not some cartoonish manipulator lurking in the shadows. Sometimes it's the person smiling beside you. Sometimes it's a voice from childhood echoing a belief you never questioned. Sometimes it's society itself, training you from birth to obey, conform, and stay quiet. The manipulation that shapes you isn't always external. It's hidden in the thoughts you never learned to challenge. It's in the emotions you treat as absolute. It's in the choices you thought were yours, but were actually guided by fear, guilt, and the hunger to be accepted. Take control of your own mind, so that no one ever controls it for you again. Are you ready to cut the last invisible strings still holding you? Then keep going. We've arrived at the most important, and perhaps most uncomfortable, truth of this entire video. As long as you don't take full ownership of your mind, someone else will, and it won't always be a villain. Not some cartoonish manipulator lurking in the shadows. Sometimes it's the person smiling beside you. Sometimes it's a voice from childhood, echoing a belief you never questioned. Sometimes it's society itself, training you from birth to obey, conform, and stay quiet. The manipulation that shapes you isn't always external. It's hidden in the thoughts you never learned to challenge. It's in the emotions you treat as absolute. It's in the choices you thought were yours, but were actually guided by fear, guilt, and the hunger to be accepted. Freedom begins the moment you stop calling conditioning free will. But that freedom comes at a cost. It demands that you break the illusion that everyone means well, that you dismantle the version of yourself who always has to be kind, agreeable, and available, that you learn to tolerate discomfort, the silence after a boundary, the solitude after stepping away from relationships that once felt like home but were slowly suffocating you. You will stop being manipulated the day you realize you no longer need to be accepted. When the fear of displeasing loses its grip on your decisions, when your self-awareness becomes stronger than your emotional dependency, when you can look directly into the eyes of those who once controlled you and say with calm certainty, "No more. Now the choice is yours." You can close this video and forget everything, return to your life, back into the game without knowing you're being played. Or you can begin today to train your mind to observe, analyze, resist, and rebuild. You can become the kind of person who does not fold to emotional blackmail, who sees through masks and walks forward with clarity, even when everyone else is moving in circles. Comment below. When did you realize you were being manipulated? What moment broke the illusion? Or are you still in the middle of it and looking for a way out? Speak, because putting it into words is the first step toward freedom. And if this video opened your eyes, don't stop here. Watch the next one. It's just as powerful, maybe more, because knowledge is a ladder, and each step takes you further out of the shadows. Keep climbing, because the truth doesn't just set you free, it transforms you. See you there.